Hi, my name is Toh Chin Liang and my matrix number is AS13873. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Nur Auni Zulkifli. My matric number is AS13620.
Hi, my name is Zafirah binti Abdul Rani and my matric number is AS13658. Whoa.
Let's start.
Woo.
Phylum Mollusca.
First of all, I would like to introduce you what is Mollusca. The phylum Mollusca are the second most numerous groups of animals with over 100,000 named species. They inhabit marine, freshwater, and terrestrial habitats. The groups include herbivorous, carnivorous, filter feeders, and parasites. Next, we can move to characteristics of Mollusca. First of all, Mollusca have bilaterally symmetrical except for pila, which is asymmetric. Now we can see here example of mollusca such as snails, slugs, squids, and pila. Besides, all mollusca have soft body protected by hard shell. That means that they have lacked the rigid internal skeletal structure like you and I have. Shell mainly composed of calcium carbonate. We can see, for example, like slugs and octopus, shell may be loose due to evolution. For squids, shell reduce in size and internalized. This we see anatomy of mollusca. Mollusca like human. Mollusca have a mouth, esophagus, stomach, and anus. Their mouths also like human contain seeds as part of an oral structure called a radula. Mollusca share three common body parts, which is mantle, foot, visceral mass. First, head foot. They have sensory and motor organs. Second, foot helps provide the organism with a means of motion. For some, head includes mouth, eyes, and tentacles. Modified muscular foot aids for locomotion. For you guys' information, all mollusca have a specialist foot used in digging, grasping, or creeping. The foot is a muscular organ modified into different forms in different mollusca classes. Next, we're gonna say about the visceral mass. This located above the foot in the visceral hump, non-muscular metabolic region of the mollusca that contains the body organs. It is animal's major body system. Why I say this? Because it includes digestive, nervous, excretory, reproductive, and respiratory system. Second, we're gonna say about the visceral mass. It's located above the foot in the visceral hump, non-muscular metabolic region of the mollusca that contains the body organs. It is animal's major body system. Why I say this? Because it includes digestive, nervous, reproductive, and respiratory system. The last part we're gonna say about the mantle. It is a layer of tissue that acts as a flexible protective wall around the visceral mass and the animal's other internal parts. It contains glands that secrete shell. Mantle cavity houses gills. Next, we're gonna say about the digestive system. This is general anatomy of the digestive system of mollusca. We're gonna say about the nervous system that varies across species. This diagram showing the nervous system of 5 mollusca. The last characteristic that we can say about mollusca is the circulatory system. This diagram shows that open circulatory system. All mollusca except those in the class Cephalopoda have an open circulatory system.
Phylum Mollusca can be further classified into 7 classes. However, we are going to look at only 3 of the classes, namely gastropods, bivalvia, and cephalopoda. The question is, how do we distinguish them? Each of them can be distinguished through their unique characteristics. First of all, let's have a look at the class of gastropoda. Gastropods have a head that bears a pair of eyes, and one of the examples is a snail. Besides that, they usually have coil-shaped shells. Even though slugs do not have shells, they are still categorized as gastropoda. Another thing about gastropoda is that they have large foot with flat sole. The last characteristic of gastropods is that most of them feed using a radula. Let's see how they eat.
Gastropoda.
We'll look at the second class of mollusca, which is bivalvia. They have two shells joined at one edge of a hinge. You can imagine the structure of the shells as the hinge of a door. Plus, most bivalvias are filter feeders. What you have just watched is actually how clams are filter feeding. Just imagine them as a water filter. Water and food particles will be siphoned in through one part of the siphon of the clam. Then, filtered water will be expelled. And that's why you can witness clean water of the clams feeding for an hour. Next, bivalvia don't have a head. They don't have a radula. And they have a compressed foot.
Is that Pokemon? It's Bivalvia.
The last class of mollusca we will be covering today is cephalopoda. As you can see, they have beak-like jaws. The most distinctive feature of cephalopoda is they have a completely merged head and foot. This is how a normal human looks like. But if you imagine cephalopods as a human, they only have a head connected to the legs. Another thing is that they have sacs that release black fluid. They usually utilize the black fluid to escape from the predators. Last but not least, they have the most complex brain among invertebrates. Fun fact, octopus is ranked number 6 as the smartest animal in the world. What's more interesting is that the octopuses is the only mollusk that make it to the list.
Is that Pokemon? It's Cephalopoda.
Now, I would like to talk about phylum Echinodermata. Characteristic of Echinodermata, it have a triploblastic columate and young segment. It have a lacking brain and complex sense organ.
I'm calling it a brain. I'm pretty sure it's where ideas come from.
Ted, I don't have a brain.
Symmetrical larva. It presents of internal skeleton. It have a unique water vascular system that form tube feet, and it is a mainly filter feeder, and most of them are sexually reproduced. There are 5 classifications of Echinodermata. We have sea urchin, starfish, brittle star, sea cucumber, and sea feather. Next, we are going to talk about characteristics of Echinodermata. I would like to talk about class Holothuroidea. Class Holothuroidea. First, we can see that Holothurians is bilateral symmetry. Holothurians are also called as sea cucumber. They also have an elongated muscula and have a flexible body with mouth at one end and the anus at the other. Around the mouth are a number of tentacles which are modified tube feet that used for feeding. We are going to talk about class of Uroidea. It is much common to brittle stars. Brittle stars have a distinct central disc that's smaller than starfish and a long flexible arms. Brittle stars have no anus. The skeleton also are made of ossicles. Next, we are going to talk about class Echinoidea. Class Echinoidea is much common to sea urchins. Sea urchins have a radially symmetrical body with an external chitinous skeleton. The mouth is on underside of the body and the anus is on upper side of the animal. The skeleton of the sea urchin, known as the test, is a rigid shell that made of flat and fused calcareous ossicles. Last but not least, we are going to talk about class Asteroidea. Asteroids include the sea stars commonly called starfish. 5 arms radiating from a central disc with their mouth located on the underside. Locomotion depends on the water vascular system to stretch their tube feet.
Many believe that starfish moves by sucking on surfaces, but that's a myth. First of all, starfish draws in water through a sieve plate. And then, water is pumped to the arms, filling bulb-shaped ampullae that looks like an eyedropper. Here's how it looks like in real life. The ampullae then squeeze water into the tube feet. They then extend. When the tube feet contracts, they drag the whole starfish with them. And that's how they pull themselves and moves.
That's all from us. Thank you. Hi, my name is Auni. My metric number is AS10. Hi, my name is Zafirah and my metric number is 1. That's all from us. Thank you.